listen, if you're going to call me out in the chat like that, I'm going to kick you all off of Discord. Let's take a quick break. No, I'm just kidding. Nick, tell us about what book you read next before we go.
I mean, I gotta hand it to you. I'm pretty sure you just shattered your 2024 resolution before it even started, but that's fine.
Hey.
Yeah, my pick for this week. Let me say this. Sometimes we read things for the weirdest reasons. And my pick for this week, Hunt for the Skinwalker #4, is very much belonging to that camp. This is written by Zach Thompson, art by Valeria Berzo, colors by Jason Wardy, letters by Joe Sabino. I sort of anticipated that my Christmas shopping this year was going to continue to be the bane of my existence. So last weekend, I already started with some pre-podcast prep and started scouting the books coming out on December 20th. And I saw this book, and the title understandably stuck out. And I said, next thing I know, I'm looking up what the series is about, and it's like, hey, weird shit happens on this ranch in the mid-90s, and it might be about cryptids, and it might be aliens, and it might be both. And then I'm finding out that this book is apparently an adaptation of a 2005 nonfiction book titled Hunt for the Skinwalker, Science Confronts the Unexplained at a Remote Ranch in Utah. So they just went ahead and they just chopped the subtitle off, because why would you put that on the front of a comic book?
To get people like
exactly
me even more excited to pick up this freaking comic
book. And then I find out this nonfiction book exists because, apparently, allegedly, this shit really happened.
Yeah, that's what nonfiction means, Nick. Come on.
Put big quotes around really happened, though, please, everyone. According to some people...
nonfiction.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you just put quotes around all of it. So... Additionally, the events of this were also recounted for a 2018 documentary titled Hunt for the Skinwalker. So the next thing I know, I'm reading the first 3 issues of this comic in a blur. And the next thing I know, I'm buying the fucking book that the comic is based on. Let me give you a short summary of this. Actually, it's not that short. Fuck. Quote, rarely do scientists have the opportunity to study and measure a recurring series of mysterious and inexplicable events in the field. So in 1996, a team of open-minded researchers from the National Institute for Discovery Science, founded and funded by Las Vegas businessman, there's a great thing, Robert Bigelow, jumped at the chance to investigate weird phenomena still occurring on a cattle ranch in Uinta County, Utah. Its owner had been plagued for the past 2 years by odd disappearances, manifestations of a shape-shifting entity the Ute Indians call a skinwalker, floating blue orbs of light, cattle mutilations, a giant wolf that seems unaffected by bullets, that's my favorite part, and a sinister hyena-like creature. Biochemist Kelleher tells the story of the team's experiences on the ranch as a, quote, ambitious if unconventional example of what science is supposed to do, explore the unknown. Admittedly, for me, I was really interested to see how the comics team attempted to basically truncate a 320-page book into roughly 120 pages of comics. I can't fully speak to the success of this, as I haven't quite read the book yet, but the comic never had me feeling like I'd missed a bunch or was left out. Thompson isn't exactly one of my big favorite writers, but I like his work here. I absolutely loved Berzo's art on Castle Full of Blackbirds, which was a Hellboy-verse title that came out about a year or so ago. And Jason Wardy, absolutely colorist legend, doesn't get enough credit. He's worked on such books as Kaya and Wasted Space within the last couple of years. And yeah, I was thinking about this, and I sort of miss going back to mid-90s conspiracy theories, when it was like, hey, what if the government lied about aliens? Or, hey, what if these cryptids really exist? And of course, conspiracy theories now are more like, are birds real? Flat Earth theory. And of course, with some of these things, you can say that the people who created them knew that they were fake, but it still says something about modern society that there are other people who have heard that admission and continue to believe in said things. So I just sort of yearn for mid-90s conspiracy theories. And if you want to, see me get on my soapbox, I think a lot of this has to do with pre and post 9/11 media consumption, and also just sort of pre 9/11 media versus post 9/11 media, and sort of the things that you could say on X-Files in the mid and late 90s, post 9/11, if you're like, hey, the government is lying to you about X, Y, and Z, people were busy watching 24 at that point, where the Department of Homeland Security is now a thing, and
to believe that they were lying,
right, you
would
can't
be a
do that. Yeah,
shattering of the
you
universe.
can't do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so again, a little bit of a weird little tangent there, but it definitely had me yearning back to Mulder and Scully in those eras. And yeah, it's a weird. There's some weird shit. There was some weird shit that went on, and it's not easily explainable. And I'm totally interested and ready for issue 4, because what a ride that book has been.
Well, I didn't know that this book existed. I love the story of the Skinwalker Ranch just because of how mysterious and weird it is. I would recommend, if you want more on this from a podcast that I love, maybe you won't. It's called Last Podcast on the Left. You probably maybe have heard of it. They did an entire multi-part series about Skinwalker Ranch, which is a whole thing. This book that Nick was talking about, Hunt for the Skinwalker, the longer title, was one of the sources they used for that book. Or for that series that they did. So if you want more, I think that's a great resource, I guess. But yeah, man, that's fun stuff. I freaking love conspiracy theory stuff. This is also why I love Department of Truth. I mean, like, come on, like, anyways, I'm glad I did not know that this book existed, and I'm very glad to. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
So with that, we're gonna take a quick break.